Hi, I'm Paul Kautz. I'm the Director of Education for the Data Warehousing Institute, and we're here in San Diego at our San Diego Conference and Executive Summit. And I'm here with Sean Spott, Sean is the Vice President and Manager of Corporate Intelligence and Research for RBC Wealth Management. RBC Wealth Management is the 6th largest U.S. full-service brokerage firm and is headquartered in Minneapolis, Minnesota. And I just was in the audience when Sean delivered a very interesting presentation on what RBC is doing in the cloud, and the title of that was Filling a Break in the Clouds. Sean, welcome, and thank you for joining us today.
Thank you.
You've said you've been on this for about a 4-year journey on this, and you talked about the difference in BI needs between your different groups, your brokers and your corporation. Right. Can you kind of describe for us at a high level what your overall project was, what the goals were, what you were trying to achieve out of this?
Sure. It started out in 2007. We were really trying to address the BI needs for our brokers primarily. Then obviously we would have corporate needs, but we always want to help your sales force first. So we moved forward with that with a cloud-based implementation. After we got that implementation up, it was very successful. We began looking at how we were going to address our internal, more management level reporting. And that's when we started looking at whether or not to continue with a cloud-based platform or to move to an on-premises platform. Ultimately, we moved to an on-premises platform, for various reasons, but that's really been the 4-year journey, starting out with cloud, getting our sales group up and running, and then moving to an on-based platform for the management group, and that brings us up to 2011. Terrific.
Well, you had a slide in your presentation called Storm Clouds, Gaps and Challenges, and you talked about some of the main things that were there, from information needs to development to who manages what. And
Sure.
can you describe some of those challenges for us?
Yeah, there was really for us there was really a turning point, a point at which when we had our successful cloud-based platform up, it was working. We were getting a lot of positive feedback on it, and we had to look at how we were going to address our next set of needs, the internal needs. And the gaps and challenges we faced, there were a number of them. One of the things that we had to deal with was bisynchronous versus asynchronous data. You put your data up into the cloud, but how do you get it back out when you need it? So we built a number of analytics in the cloud, and the results of those, it was tough to get those back out. Another challenge that we dealt with is really information knowledge, the metadata, and really, who owns that data. As you move data further from yourself, from, your daily interactions, it sometimes becomes harder to manage that data. And so with a cloud-based solution, we were sometimes concerned that we weren't always getting the most out of our data, and that by bringing some of that analytics back in-house, we would benefit more from our data, more from our knowledge of that data and control of that data.
And that's really kind of where you went into I think was the next part of the presentation, where you said coming out of the clouds, getting our feet back on the ground with some of those pieces, where you went from on-premise to kind of fill into some of the gaps. And you explained a little bit, but what drove you to make that on-premise decision? Was it really the performance issues? Was it the control of the data? What were the things that kind of drove your decision points on what to bring back on-premise?
I think the number one thing that drove the decision was, as we were looking at the issues with a cloud-based platform, we felt if we continued to move in that direction, some of those issues just weren't going to go away. Like the asynchronous, bisynchronous issue. So that made us look seriously at an on-premises solution. The other thing that helped us is, the BI industry is maturing so quickly, and so the tool sets that are available to us now, 2009, 2010, when we were making this decision, are very robust. We went with a server, self-serve platform for on-premises. So it wasn't fat client. It wasn't going to require a heavy lift. We were able to do proof of concept. We were able to do iterative rollout. A lot of the sell points for a cloud-based implementation. We were able to leverage a lot of that same type of logistical approach to our implementation. It seemed like a win-win. We have the successful cloud implementation. The on-premises, we needed something that was a little more nimble. and it worked.
Now, did you find from the cloud position, you know, Sean Rogers talked just ahead of you and talked about the evolution of the functionality and the software as a service in the cloud-based products. Did you see in the time you were doing this a fairly strong evolution in the cloud-based side of it, but that still wasn't enough to solve the needs, solve the issues you had?
Yeah, absolutely. The cloud-based platforms are evolving very rapidly. You know, our cloud platform, the functionality that we have available to us from 4 years ago till now, I mean, it's light years ahead. And it was innovative back then. So it wasn't for us as much of a functionality question, because at that point, going on premises or staying in the cloud, we felt we were going to get pretty much the same functionality mix. We didn't feel that the cloud was our cloud platform had any deficits from that standpoint. It was really more of a logistical decision, the ability to have greater control of our data.
So now you found yourself in a situation you're really managing two different platforms.
Yes.
Right? So can you talk to me a little bit about what the challenge you found in managing those two platforms and how you kept things in sync and people happy?
Sure.
Because a lot of people are finding themselves, they're not going to be all one or all the other. There's going to be a lot of people that are going to be managing multiple pieces.
Yeah, and I think, you know, as I talk to my you know, BI companions and people out in the industry, more and more of us are facing multiple platform challenges. You know, the idea of a centralized single platform was nirvana for a number of years, and I think most organizations are now openly looking at multiple platform implementations. For us, the management really came in two pieces. The first is really, we've made the integration of the two platforms seamless from an end user standpoint. So our end users don't know if they're on the cloud or on premises. Since they're both web-based, we've created seamless links between the two tools. So a user doesn't know, therefore they're not questioning, well, which source of information am I looking at? The second thing we've done is we've implemented a fairly rigid metadata strategy around our two platforms. So if we created an element, a commingled element on one side, whatever rules we use to create that, we use the exact same rules on the other side. We don't allow for any variation, so that if someone sees assets under administration on one system, when they see assets under administration on the other system, those two are always going to match. There's never going to be a variation for some obscure business reason.
Okay, and I also think it's important for people to kind of get a feel and understanding of the size and volume of data that you're looking at, because a lot of people look at the cloud as we can only put a little bit of data out there. We can only, we can't do very much. Can you talk to a little bit about the volume of data you were pushing back and forth?
Yeah, our cloud-based implementation is very robust from a data standpoint. We transmit somewhere between 4 and 6 gig of data on a monthly basis. We maintain over 4 years of history on that cloud platform. We have exceptionally good performance, given the volume of data that we have, given the distributed network. I mean, our cloud-based platform is servicing 2,200 brokers in 42 states. And we have consistent performance metrics, whether we're talking about Gig Harbor, Seattle, or St. Petersburg, Florida. And that's a lot of data to be moving around. But it works well, and that's one of the advantages of going with the cloud platform.
And in your business too, it's the security and the sensitivity of that data, I'm sure, is pretty high. So, and also listening to Sean's presentation ahead of yours, talking about total cost of ownership, talking about service level agreements, talking about security. What was your comfort level on those pieces as you guys went into the cloud, and was that a concern for you?
Yeah, obviously security was at the top of everyone's list when you're looking at a cloud implementation. In some ways, it's nice because within RBC, we're a pretty big organization. So from a security standpoint, I was able to leverage a whole group that's all they do is maintain the security of our systems, review vendors, that sort of thing. So when we explored a cloud-based option, they did a complete audit of the vendor. They went on site to the data center. They review every aspect of the partnership and of what they're going to be providing to us. And they have veto. If they finish the security audit and for any reason say they don't pass, then it doesn't matter if we've signed a contract. It doesn't matter whether we've made commitments. The deal's done. I mean, at that point. So.
Terrific. And also, so that I know that's a big concern for a lot of organizations. And I mean, there's organizations, a lot of small to medium-sized businesses are looking at cloud-based software as a service-based solutions to kind of get in at a lower cost of ownership and not hopefully be able to compete more easily. And a lot of the major corporations are looking at it as well. So as more and more people look at jumping into the cloud, what kind of advice would you give them as they're looking at that?
Yeah, I mean, I think the thing I would say now, when we got in 2007, cloud-based technology it was still called software as a service. The word cloud didn't even exist yet. The industry has changed so much in the last 4 years. The iterative development of new features, new functionality. I would look at a foray into the cloud as something that you should be looking at a 3 to 5 year window, and thinking always about what else is out there, because with the innovation curve being so high right now, I think companies they're going to do themselves a favor if it's not about always keeping an eye on the exit, but it really has more to do with keeping an eye on the cost of ownership, what your needs are compared to what you're getting, and do frequent vendor reviews. Evaluate, are these the right tools for us now? Because the transition, once you've gone to the cloud, you've already built basically the heavy lift apparatus of moving data. That's the hard part.
Yes,
once you have the application, the development of the app is easy. So you can change vendors. You can look at new opportunities fairly easily that, in the old, in an on-premises solution, that might be a little bit more difficult.
Very good. Well, I think there's a lot of very good information there. I really enjoyed your presentation today. And if you need more information on us, you can get it at the Data Warehousing Institute at tdwi.org or information management at information-management.com. I'm Paul Kautza with TDWI. Thank you very much.
Thanks, Paul.